Before starting the boiler from a cold state, we need to make a thorough evaluation of the system. First, we will review the logbook to see if there were any issues the last time the boiler ran. Next, we will check that gas valves 1, 3, 5, and 35 are all closed. Check the chemical feed system for any alarms. While we are on this side of the boiler, we can check that valve number 30, the sample line, is closed. As well as the main steam stop valve, valve number 17, should also be closed. Drain valves 6 and 7 should both be closed. Vacuum breaker isolation, valve number 34, should be open. While inspecting for a proper water level, we can check that valves 11 and 12 are both open, and valve number 10 is closed. The tricock valves, number 13, 14, and 15, should all be closed. Drain valves 8 and 9 should both be closed, along with the low water cutoff drain, valve number 16. Heading to the back of the boiler, we can check that valves 26, 28, and 29 are all open, and valve number 27 is closed. And blow-down valves 24 and 25 should both be closed. On the blowdown tank, valve number 38, the cold water inlet, should be closed. Moving now to the feed water tank, we can check for a proper water level, as well as valves 44, 46, and 47 all being open, and the drain, valve number 45, being closed. We will also check that the chemical feed inlets, valve numbers 48, 49, and 50, are all open. At the front of the feed water tank, valves number 21 and 23 should be open, with bypass valve number 22 being closed. Valve number 20, the pressure gauge isolation valve, should be open. The soft water sample tap, valve number 39, should also be closed. Now heading over to the electrical panels, the breakers for the boiler and the feed water tank should both be closed. Under the stairwell, valve number 37, the condensate drain, should be open. Before heading upstairs, we will check that the valve at the bottom of the steam header going to the condensate drain is open, as well as both valves on each side of the steam trap. Now up on the mezzanine, we'll walk over to the softener and check that valves 40, 42, and 43 are all in the open position, and that valve number 41, the softener bypass, is closed. Lastly, we can check that valve number 18 is open, and valve number 36 is closed. Now we can move along to purging the boiler. First, we will verify that the burner control is on low fire, and then we can cycle the ignition switch to the on position for 10 seconds, and then cycle it back off. The draft fan will continue to run for approximately 1 minute. Now we can begin the process of actually starting the boiler. The first step is to open the 4 gas valves, numbered 1, 3, 5, and 35. Next, we will double check that the flame control is on low fire, and then we can turn the ignition switch to the on position. After approximately 45 seconds, an audible click can be heard, and then we can check for a pilot flame. Once the flame scanner detects the pilot, a second click can be heard, and then we can check for our main burner. We will then enter the time the boiler was fired into the logbook. As the boiler begins to warm, John will check the outer cladding of the boiler for any hot spots. Once steam pressure begins to appear on our gauge, we can then close valve number 34, the vacuum breaker isolation. To begin purging the condensate from the steam line, we will first fully open valve number 36. Note that valve 37, the condensate drain, is still wide open. Next, we'll just crack open valve number 17. Monitor the flow of condensate from the drain. Once steam appears, we can close valve 37. Now we can go ahead and fully open valve 17. With the boiler now warming, we can go ahead and start to test some of our components. First, we will blow down the gauge glass. To do so, we will first close valve number 12, the water side, and then open the drain. The water level should drop immediately. This proves that the steam side is clear. Close the drain and reopen the water side valve. Water level should return to normal, proving water side clear. To test the low water cutoff, we will open valve number 16 and wait for the alarm to sound. Then we can close the valve. We will then check that the flame has gone out and that the low water alarm light is now lit. Then we can silence the alarm. To reset the alarm, we'll push the red reset button on the underside of the low water cutoff device. We can then enter this into the logbook. To blow down the water column and also test our feed water control, we will just crack open valve number 8. We should be able to hear the feed water pump cycle in the background. We can close the valve. Operation of the feed water pump is confirmed. To test the feed water inlet control, slightly rotate the disc. An audible click should be heard at the solenoid. With our tests completed, we can proceed to blowing down the bottom of the boiler. First, fully open the cold water inlet into the blowdown tank. Then open the quick opening valve, followed by the slow opening valve. Hold the slow opening valve open for 10 seconds and then close. The quick opening valve can then be closed. Finally, close the cold water inlet valve. Once thoroughly warmed up, the boiler can be turned to high fire if required. To do so, rotate the firing rate control to the high position. Check for smooth operation of the damper control. When steam is no longer required, we can shut down the boiler. First, rotate the firing rate control to low fire. Then wait for the water level to stabilize in the gauge glass. Water level may fluctuate for several minutes before stabilizing. Now we can cycle the ignition switch off. Draft fan will continue to run for several seconds to conduct a post-purge. Enter the time the boiler was shut down into the logbook, then proceed to close the gas valves. Any residual steam pressure can be vented through the condensate drain. Once the steam pressure is reduced to zero, we can open the vacuum breaker valve, and then we'll close the main steam stop valve. Boiler operation is complete. Thank you for watching.